Hi, it's Dave here. I'm not with my wife Kathy right now. I'm with my friend Andrew.
Hello.
Whose dulcet South African tones you might recognise from our 50 Shades Darker review. Was that what was it called?
50 Shades Freed.
Freed.
Dave.
Oh, that
Freed.
one. Oh, yeah. Whichever one, the sexy one. The one that was really sexy. Remember that?
Really, really sexy.
It was
the one that we
too
got to
sexy
watch
for
with
us.
4 other male compatriots.
Yes, so go back. That's about, 30 or 40 episodes ago.
Valentine's Day, I think.
Valentine's
I'm pretty
Day.
sure it was
It's
around
lodged
Valentine's,
in your
which made
memory.
it even worse.
Is it? Do you remember specifically because you ditched your wife that night?
Yeah, just like I
To spend
ditched
it
her
with us.
tonight and gave you
Yes!
the extra ticket for this.
I know. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, Christine.
Sorry, Christine. Andrew invited me to what looks like the London premiere.
It does look like the premiere. So we're sitting across from the BFI in London, and it's basically a red carpet event. I've just seen Paul Feig come up in a little Merc.
Feig, I think it's name.
Feig.
Yeah. You don't just go adding letters into the man's name. We're a professional.
So director
podcast,
has
Andrew.
arrived. And we're waiting for the other actors to arrive, I presume.
I guess. We sound ill-informed because we are ill-informed. We didn't realise we were coming to the premiere.
Yeah, I'm in my jeans and trainers.
Yeah, we would have worn tuxedos otherwise. Because I presume they're going to invite us down the
Forgot
red
my
carpet
bow tie at
in a
home.
second, are they?
Mm-hmm.
They know. They must recognise the Cinemile.
Cinemiles here.
Yeah. Hey, it's the guys with the Cinemile! His wife looks different in real life. So we still haven't mentioned the name of the movie. We're saying it's called A Simple Favour. And neither of us know anything about it.
No, and that's why I'm really excited about it, because I literally have no idea what to expect.
It's the best way to see a movie these days.
Uh-huh.
Because trailers spoil everything.
Yeah, I know you're not a fan of seeing trailers, of
No.
watching trailers before you go watch the film. But this is why I'm really intrigued to see this one, because I literally have no idea what to expect, especially from the director in this one, because his films are very comedy based, and I have seen the trailer for this one.
It's not a comedy. As far as I
And
can
it
tell.
doesn't look like a comedy at all.
It's a sort of thriller,
It's
is
a
it?
noir thriller. Yeah. So I'm really intrigued.
And it stars Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively,
Yep.
who may or may not be here.
But I have just seen Stanley Tucci walk past, and I have no
Is
idea
Stanley
whether
Tucci in this?
I have no
You
idea.
don't know?
I have no idea.
Are you sure
Is
it
his
wasn't
wi-
just
is
a
his
bald
wi-
guy?
Well,
Oh my
people were
God.
getting selfies with him,
Oh my
so
God, it's
he
Patrick
must
Stewart.
be famous. Is his wife an actress? I don't know. I don't know why he's here. Maybe he is in it.
All right, well, we're going to try and grab Stanley Tucci for an interview.
This is how much we know about the film we're seeing.
All right, let's head into this thing. We're going to go walk the red carpet now.
I do consider Emily my best friend. She is this wonderful, elegant person.
Quand j'étais petite, je me taisais comme une fleur.
She is an enigma, my wife. You can get closer, you never quite reach her.
J'adorais les mythes, mais tous ces mots me faisaient peur.
Everybody has a dark side. Some of us are better at hiding it than others.
J'adore mon poisson rouge, il m'apaise jour et nuit. Il tourne en rond pour moi, et je me tais rien que pour lui.
5 days ago, Emily went missing. I'm realizing I don't know her as well as I thought I did.
All right, we're out. We've just seen A Simple Favour at the UK premiere, which we didn't realise was the
a
UK
premiere. No.
We were just like, let's go to this thing on a Monday
Well,
night.
it wasn't too bad seeing Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick in the flesh.
Yeah, and Paul Feig, they were all there up on stage,
Yeah.
telling us all about their movie. And now we're walking along the South Bank, the glamorous London South Bank,
So
after
romantic.
accidentally going to a red carpet premiere. This is the kind of lives we lead, you know?
Anything can happen in London.
Yeah, and Stanley update on the Stanley Tucci
We
saga.
established he's not in the film.
No, at all.
He was just walking around and
Yeah, it was him. You were
waltzed
right.
in. Yeah, but it was him.
He was just there. He was just at the BFI, just hanging around,
No idea.
doing a bit of Tucci.
Anyway,
So yeah, so A Simple Favour. Neither of us knew anything about it. Now we know all about it because we saw it. I would just say, what is it? It's kind of
confusing as a genre.
Exactly, and this is my fundamental kind of problem with it. Paul Feig came out and introduced it to us as a thriller,
Hitchcock.
and I think Hitchcock. He mentioned. Well, that was a bad idea to mention Hitchcock.
Yeah, I think so.
It shouldn't have summoned Hitchcock's name, really. He did say Hitchcock is an influence, and the movie, looking at the plot synopsis on IMDb, it's billed as a thriller. It kind of wants to be a thriller, and Paul Feig said to us, this isn't a comedy. He didn't make it as a comedy. He didn't want it to be a comedy. There are funny bits, but it's not. There are no jokes. It's behavioural comedy, is what he said. But I disagree with him. I think this is an out-and-out comedy. It feels like a Paul Feig comedy. Anna Kendrick is very funny in this. Blake Lively's quite playing comedy largely. Everyone's being funny. All the side characters are comedy characters.
Yeah, it's 100% a comedy. I mean, even I don't want to give it away too much in the beginning, but even those scenes where you would expect it to be a little bit more dark, a little bit more somber, there's heavy doses of comedy in there. So 100% a comedy for me, which is definitely not what I was expecting.
No, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I personally found it jarring because I think we weren't expecting anything to the start, but then Paul Feig came on stage and said it's not a comedy. So then I was like, oh, it's not a comedy, and then it starts with a very sort of stylish sort of film noir opening, which I thought was great.
It does.
Like opening
the credits were awesome. Yeah,
very cool, and probably the most stylish and inventive part of the movie.
Yeah,
because the rest of it was just a bit sort of melodrama.
Yeah, and straight from the beginning, there were generous doses of comedy. I think the first scene was in a school, and just the banter between the parents at the school, and that's when I started getting a little worried. That's when I started thinking, okay, hold on, maybe this isn't really a thriller, because this does look like your kind of, I don't want to say paint by numbers comedy, but it pretty much was at the end of the day, with a bit of thriller thrown in there.
Yeah, it's a comedy with some typical thriller trappings, is what it is.
Exactly.
But the problem is that those thriller bits don't work because, as you said, they're undercut because they keep injecting comedy in there.
Yep.
So it takes you right out of it, to the point where we'll get to it in Spoiler Street in a minute. But when the movie wants you to be really committed and it starts to get really serious as to what's really going on, it kind of just becomes a farce.
It breaks up the tension a little bit, the comedy, unfortunately. For me, at least. I think I was going in hoping that I would see a little bit more of a Gone Girl type of thriller where it was a little bit more dark, and that's what I was excited about seeing in this one. The director he's well known for all the comedies he's done. So he directed Bridesmaids, he directed the latest Ghostbusters. I mean, he's pretty much responsible for Melissa McCarthy's career in Hollywood right now. And if you know Melissa McCarthy's films, you'll know what I'm talking about, in the sense that he's very comedy driven. So I was kind of hoping to see a dark side, and that's what intrigued me about this film so much. And I think I just ended up getting what I would have expected had you just mentioned his name. But
I'm with you.
Being billed as a thriller, I thought, ooh, okay, there must be something a little bit different about this one. And for me, I enjoyed it as a comedy.
Yeah, and you're right, because if you're going to see this, and firstly, I thought it was okay. I was totally fine.
Nothing wrong with it. I enjoyed it as a comedy. It was very funny.
And if you go in expecting a Paul Feig comedy, because he hasn't really been able to escape his own style, because it very much just feels like that. Maybe it's a little bit tighter because it's got a tighter script and plot, but it feels like that loose comedy trappings of the actors are having fun and everyone seems to be having great fun. I'd say there's a lot of ad-libbing here. Anna Kendrick certainly and Blake Lively were playing off each other quite well. I enjoyed all their scenes.
Yep.
Anna Kendrick in particular was just very enjoyable as an uptight mother. They played all their conventions very well. So the characters are kind of fun. But yeah, it's you've also mentioned Gone Girl, which I kept thinking of throughout this, because it's very hard not to compare it to that.
Yeah.
Especially when it's so recent.
Especially with the twists at the end too.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all very... It's... All right, well, so let's turn on to Spoiler Street now,
Okay.
I think,
We're
because
just
we've
gonna
got to
knock it
get
left
into the
quickly.
nitty-gritties. Would you... I think we kind of said our piece. It goes... It's fine. I thought it was totally fine.
It's good. It's funny. I enjoyed it. It wasn't quite what I was hoping it would be, but I still had fun with it.
It's too long as well, though.
It is too long. I thought it was 15, 20 minutes and a plot twist or two too long.
Yeah,
I felt
exactly.
Like there are quite a few little twists, which I'm sure we'll get into, and I felt like they perhaps didn't need all of them.
No, I wanted to go in with the editor and just like say, take this whole bit out, take that,
Not
trim
necessary.
this back. Yeah, I would have loved to do that.
Finished it 15, 20 minutes earlier, and it actually would have been
Much
nice
tighter.
little bundle.
The end
Nice
was
little
exhausting. The last 20 minutes was just like, oh.
Yeah, it
and
made
you're
it
just
a
like,
little bit
just
too,
go home now.
Made it a little bit too paint by numbers Hollywood. There's extra 15, 20 minutes.
There were so many numbers. They went up to 150 with all the numbers they were painting. All right, so we're turning on to the... not many people know this, but there's a spoiler section of South Bank. It's just past the National Theatre. And it's basically anyone can come here and spoil any movie you like. So just be careful. Yeah, any other movies you'd like to spoil here for the people?
Well, have you seen this movie Sixth Sense?
I was going to say, anytime anyone thinks about a spoiler of a movie, it's the one that comes to mind. It's the only one I could think of just now as well.
Yeah. Do you know what? I watched another movie the other day, Shutter Island. And
oh yeah, he was a ghost
spoiler
all the
in
time.
that one. Yeah, he was a ghost too.
Yeah.
He also saw dead people.
I liked Shutter Island. A lot of people didn't.
I did, but when you know the twist,
it
it's
doesn't.
not quite as good watching
really?
it the second time around.
But here's the thing, right? With that though, Shutter Island. I don't know why we're talking about Shutter Island now, but I'm going to try and draw us back to A Simple Favour. Shutter Island.
Let's find a common connection here.
I've got it, Andrew. I think so. So it's interesting you say that, because even watching it while knowing what it's about, I think there's probably still a lot to appreciate there, because Martin Scorsese is a very stylish director, and that movie's got like atmosphere, isn't it? It's grimy and moody and atmospheric, and I think all of those things were lacking here. There was no atmosphere in this movie. Everything's very bright and plain.
Mm-hmm.
Suburban, yeah. But actually, when you look at, I hate to draw it back to Gone Girl because it's not really a fair comparison, but we'll get to the plot similarities because they're effectively the same movie. But David Fincher did Suburbia and he made it very claustrophobic, and it was the same kind of house, rich houses, but they were creepy and close and empty. Yes, whereas this is just felt colourful and vibrant, but there's no... Paul Feig doesn't really have a very strong sort of visual flair, and he said Hitchcock, and he didn't give us any suspense. There was no... It was just scene. Here's a scene. Here's a scene. Here's a scene.
Completely.
So
it was
there you go. I brought it
stylish,
from
though.
Shutter
I mean,
Island.
I did enjoy kind of the styling in it, and I think maybe we're perhaps not the right target audience for it. I feel like... do you think Kathy would enjoy this film?
Good question. I was trying to figure that out throughout this, and I don't know is the answer. I mean,
there's a lot of, Blake Lively dressed in Ralph Lauren or whatever it may be, and
you think just women are just interested in fashion, Andrew? Oh, she's gonna murder you when she hears this.
No, don't do that.
No, this isn't coming out. This is all staying in.
But I mean, even the detective was... He did not. He
was
look like
wearing
a detective.
lovely clothes,
I mean,
wasn't
he? Exactly.
He was wearing a lovely 1-2-piece suit.
Exactly. So I think it was a little bit stylish in that sense.
To be fair, okay, and we're being a bit facetious here about the fashion thing, but there actually is some great fashion in this movie. I'm not really into it myself personally, but all the outfits Blake Lively were wearing were pretty like cool and impressive. A lot of pantsuits.
Yeah.
Right. She was rocking the pantsuit.
She was powerful.
She was rocking a pantsuit on stage for us
She was,
as well.
too. Whereas Anna Kendrick was just in a t-shirt and skirt.
Yeah, but they had fun with that. You know, there's a lot of jokes. There was quite a funny scene with with her fashion guru boss, which I quite enjoyed. But it's all just silly throwaway comedy. It doesn't. The problem is this movie doesn't really amount to much when you take out the plot. It's just a series, like a lot of scenarios.
Should we get into the spoilers?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so the fact that she was a twin was like no surprise at all, right?
No.
That was like the most obvious thing. I saw Mommy in the playground today. Well, it's either a ghost or she has a twin.
Definitely wasn't going to be a ghost.
No. So I just thought that was like, oh. Now, to be fair, most of the time I was thinking Anna Kendrick did all this. It did seem like that, didn't it?
Yeah, do you know what? The first 3/4 of the film, I don't want to say I was on the edge of my seat, but I did want to know what was going to happen next.
You were about halfway through your seat.
About halfway
you
through
were
my
about
seat,
like
yeah.
you were
I still had
you were
one
seated
butt
comfortably.
cheek there.
yeah, that sounds really uncomfortable actually. So you were kind of twisted.
I did want to know what happened next. So I mean, it did keep me engaged. Perhaps not in the way I was expecting it to, but at least he did keep us wanting to know what was going to happen next.
Yeah, I agree. Most of the time I was trying to piece it together. My mind was actively engaged with it, and they fed us enough clues or breadcrumbs, as they said in the movie, that I was trying to map it out in my head. So I guess that means I was engaged with it. However, I wasn't like gripped. I was never gripped. I was like, you know, where it's like, and I was never felt that sense of tension like you got with in Gone Girl.
Yeah.
Again, it's just how fucking no spoilers. I won't talk about Gone Girl, but there's a character in that who's a very primary character who's pretty fucking terrifying, and it felt like they were trying something similar with the Blake Lively's character.
Blake Lively just being a little bit psychotic, and you never really knew what was going to happen. I almost feel like it would have ended differently if they hadn't spoon-fed you anything at the end, if they just left it on a little bit of a cliffhanger as to, okay, so perhaps just let the audience decide what happened. If they'd cut it off 20 minutes before the end,
it certainly would have been more interesting. I don't know if it would be satisfying, because then I'd just be like, well, what happened?
Well, perhaps not leaving you completely in the dark.
It definitely would have. I think you're right. The last 20 minutes were just like
Wasn't
pretty
necessary.
stupid. Yeah, there was just like, here's the answers. We got that 20 minutes before the end, and then the last 20 minutes with them just trying to outplay each other. Yeah. Here's that, and now I'm going to double cross you and triple cross you, and
Anna Kendrick coming in and shooting the husband was, I mean,
that kind of got me though. To be fair,
no.
I thought the double twist on that got me. So when she shot him, I thought, oh right, it's all stages, recording, and then Blake Lively was one step ahead of them, so I quite liked that.
True.
But then they just did the thing again.
They're
like, aha, I'm secretly recording it all. I mean, that's just it's like so lame. Also, on the vlog thing, they didn't establish that well enough at all, that her vlog had gone viral because of the missing case.
Didn't mention
Did you get that
at all? No,
they mentioned it in the last 15 minutes.
Just
like, thanks for
handily
making my
snuck
vlog
that
go
in there.
viral. I have 1 million subscribers now. I was like, what? Just assumed you were making this for like 20 people.
Very odd. Was she back in her house? I thought they sold her house, and then in the end, when she's doing those vlogs, it wasn't from the new house. She ended up back in her house, but she sold her house. I don't get that.
Continuity error. Andrew,
Anyway.
you just unraveled this whole thing. Doesn't hold up.
Come on, Paul.
So yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Do you know what? I did enjoy it. It had generous amounts of comedy. It had little twists in it. One too many twists, as we've obviously established. But I think it was, if you want to know whether to go see it, I'd say go see it. I think you'd enjoy it.
I'd say watch it at home.
Don't expect Hitchcock.
No, don't expect Hitchcock. Paul, why did you go up there and mention Hitchcock?
I don't know.
I feel bad for the guy, because he seems like a very nice
They've
guy.
done very well at concealing what this movie is actually about. And, maybe that's what I believe it's doing very well in the box office. But obviously it hasn't, tonight was the premiere here, but it did open a few days ago in the US, and I believe it is doing pretty well. And maybe it's just that mystery behind it. Maybe it is the fact that it's just been billed as something that we clearly don't feel it is. But it's clearly working. People want to go see it.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It's probably the marketing's fault. But I don't know, is it the marketing's fault, or is just the director has the wrong impression? He thinks he made something else, I think, is the problem. Or at least what he intended to make, he couldn't help but turn it into a comedy. He's like someone who just, even on stage, like he's like pratfalling and making dad jokes and all this like preening
That's
kind
what
of stuff.
he knows.
He can't
That's
help
what he
it.
knows.
He just...
Yeah, he's well known for making films that are sort of for the outsiders. He was the creator of Freaks and Geeks, I believe.
Yeah.
So he's just, that's what he does. And he obviously feels he's made something very different. I suppose it is different for him, but there's perhaps too much of him in the film. And
it wasn't quite the breakaway sort of right angle turn I think he was hoping for, or he built it as. And it's interesting because that's what you said attracted you to this, and it's what I think would have been really interesting to see.
Yeah, I really wanted to see the dark side of him.
Yeah.
I don't think we really
maybe there is no dark side. He just seems like too nice a guy,
fun,
right?
lovable geek.
All right, I think we'll leave it there. We're gonna...
But Anna Kendrick does look a lot like Kathy.
Oh, it's funny you mentioned that. Because Kathy asked us to bring that up on the podcast, and I told you to shoehorn it in somehow. And I think we've pretty naturally done it. What do you think?
Slipped it in there before the end.
So organic. Kathy couldn't make it, but she said to say two things. Number one, she loves Blake Lively so much, and I think
who doesn't?
She's going to be very disappointed when she finds out she was here tonight. Because none of us knew that.
No.
Number two, she wanted to let everyone know that people always tell her that she looks like Anna Kendrick. I don't know what more I have to say about that.
I've got to go home now and tell my wife that we got to see Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick, and I gave the ticket to Dave instead of her.
Oh, I'm not going to be popular.
She's not going to like you.
All right, we'll leave it there. Andrew, thanks again for coming on.
Cheers, Dave.
Please subscribe to us at The Cinemile. If this is your first time listening to us, because I know we've had a lot of new subscribers lately, I probably should have explained the format of this at the top of the show.
Well, if it's the first time you're listening, it's not usually this bad.
No.
Dave usually has better guests.
This is a red carpet premiere. You're our top-notch guest. You're my connect, Andrew. You get me into all the first class
future podcast better be from premieres from now on. Better have a red carpet in the background.
But yeah, it's me and my wife, and we walk home from the movie. It's redundant. If you've listened through this and you've seen A Simple Favour and not heard this podcast before, I'm still talking. This is the problem when Kathy's not here. All right, subscribe to us at The Cinemile, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at The Cinemile, thecinemile.com. Welcome to all our new fans, and
God bless.
There we go. That's our new exit. All right, we're going to go find Stanley Tucci and hang out with him.
And ask him why the hell he was here.
What are you doing here, Stanley? You're not even in this movie.
Dans la nuit des